All right, what's up, everyone? Happy Monday. Welcome back. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hi. I'm good.
All right, cool. Today, I want to talk, Jen, about hiring because I think that a lot of people struggle with hiring and they start repeating certain loops over and over again. And I think we can help people break out of that. And we can talk about our hiring process, which I'm not saying is like the best and that's what you should implement, but you should implement something.
Yes, agreed.
And then it'll be more meaningful. Your hiring will be more meaningful. Anyways, before we get too far, we always start with our... Oh, no. I switched buttons. That was our old outro music, wasn't it?
Oh, dang. I don't know. I was like, did you switch opening take? Didn't tell me. Here we are.
Nope.
Just rolling with it today.
Here it is. Opening takes. Our opening takes. That was our old... Yeah, this was our old outro.
I mean, it's a vibe. I like it, but
yeah,
I don't really remember that.
That was like years ago.
We were just kids then. So
we used to have intro and outro music.
Yeah, maybe we need to bring that back. I don't know. Is that cool? Not cool?
I don't know. We stopped doing it and we started just jumping in. Anyways.
By we, you mean you, because I just show up and talk.
Sometimes I get bored and I just switch stuff.
Yeah, okay.
All right, opening takes. What do you got?
All right. So I was recently teaching Salon, and I just want to tell this little story because I think it goes off the last podcast and maybe the one before about just different tiers of salons, how you're going to get ahead and maybe realizing what problems you might be contributing to. So we curated this class, me and the owner, to literally put together a technical class for her few staff members that really needed to level up. So went through what they needed. I went through what I was going to present so that her girls were all on the same page, and that I was going to show up and actually add to their toolkit and not just teach them a bunch of haircuts that they're never going to do. Right. So having done all that, we have Piper, who is our assistant, going on the floor, and with the flood got a month behind with education because we weren't able to do that. So I had asked, can I bring Piper? Because these were haircuts that I believe would help Piper also. And so she's like, that would be great. And they're all on the same skill level-ish. And actually these haircuts, you can be low level, high level, and they work out. So anyway, we get to the salon. I get there, I set up, and first thing out of the owner's mouth is, so-and-so's not showing up today. And I was like, oh, what happened? She's sick, whatever. She's like, she told me she wasn't feeling well and couldn't make it. But she told my manager that these classes I have here, she doesn't learn anything. It's a waste of her time. I just looked at her. I was like, I'm so sorry. She's like, so we're going to have a talk. But she's like, I can't lose her. I need to keep her. And this girl, I have done a few things with her. She has a very bad attitude and doesn't want to learn and doesn't want to progress. And I, like, for a moment was sad. I'm like, this is not someone that she really wants on her team, but she has to keep her. Fast forward, Piper shows up 20 minutes early because in the rules of Hello Hair Co., that's what time you're supposed to show up when you show up for a shift or anything that is required of you that we are doing. And she gets her mannequin ready. She is dressed professional, hair, makeup done. She looks the part. And then the next girl that's supposed to come in for the class is running late, and the owner looks... What?
Did you tell people who Piper is?
I said it in the beginning. She's our assistant and coming to the class.
Yeah, gotcha. All right. Sorry.
So we're waiting for the next person to come in, and the owner looks at me and she's like, oh, she's just always late. So she's just probably going to be late. Now, these are two different scenarios with her staff, and she's just accepted these bad habits. And we talked for a few minutes, but then like people did finally start showing up, and I just left there defeated for her. And we talked a little bit. She's clearly defeated as an owner right now. There's a few other things going on in her business that you can tell she's burnt out. And we talk about this all the time. And if she doesn't make these changes to get her staff to show up on time, first of all, that's professional and respectful. Get her staff to realize education is meaningful. Even if you think you know everything, there's always something to learn. This is a culture that's just going to keep progressing in a negative way. And then it makes it really difficult to get back on track. So just sharing, because I think for sometimes people just resonate with, oh, that's me. I'm doing that. You can get back on track. It may take baby steps. It may take big leaps. But if you're just letting these negative things just happen in your business and you're not addressing them, then the problem that keeps persisting and keeps coming your way is on you. Hope that helps some people.
Yeah, for sure. Last week it was the episode, Jen, where we were talking more about Tier A and the fields. And I think that stuff's important to push or important to put out because the whole tier A thing was, first of all, something that just came out of my mouth back in November when we did the prediction episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like a status or anything like that. It's just a mindset. So when I say tier A salon, I don't mean that I'm better than you or anything like that. I don't mean that I charge more money or that we're more quote unquote luxury or whatever the industry buzzword terms are. It's like little things. I wrote some notes on it, which I can run through real quick. I'll do that after my opening take, but I'll pull them up so I remember. But we'll break down a little bit of what I mean when I say tier A. It might help people too, like a framework. So anyways, opening takes, I have 2. The first one, super quick, roll with it. You got to be willing to roll with it. So this morning we sat down to... Why are you laughing at me?
Because we literally sat down to record. I was like, we're so organized. This is so great. We have a whole day.
Yeah, we sat down.
As we went to hit the button.
This is my opening take.
Sorry, my bad.
All right, so roll with it, right? So we sat down first thing this morning and went to hit record. I literally had my finger on the button and Jen's phone rings. One of our staff is at the salon and she doesn't have a key. She can't get in. So we have a backup. We have a solution for that, which is a lockbox. Over the winter, the lockbox froze and it physically broke, like the buttons on the box broke. So we can't get into it to get the key. So while we're figuring out our next problem or our next solution to that problem, we had somebody standing at the salon that couldn't get in. She was like, I just want to go to work. And we were like, okay, we're on our way. So we drove over and we just rolled with it. And we had some errands to run. So we just did that real quick and we came back and hit record now. So here we are. My second opening take is something that we implemented into our culture recently. And it's not my idea, but I've seen it. A lot of successful, like big CEOs do it. I forget the guy off the top of my head, but he was the CEO of a big company where he had like thousands of employees. And every day on his way into work, he would hit record on his iPhone and record like a 2-minute or less message to his entire team every day. And he would send that out in an email to the whole organization. So every day you got a touch point from the CEO just saying, here's what we're working on. Here's where my mind is. Here's what the direction of the company, whatever it was. And I'm going to have to find that because it was really cool. But what we started doing was 2 parts. So every Monday we post to our staff now in Slack. We started calling it like Hello Motivation. It was like Motivation Monday or something like that. And how it works is it's a message from Jen and I. That's it. There's no discussion. We don't want any replies. I just want to keep it clean. This is where our head's at. This is where we're going to focus this week. And just give our staff a touch point of direction. Because when you don't do that, people will drift and they'll go further away from your why and they don't buy in. For example, your opening take, Jen, this woman has a staff that doesn't buy in. If education is important to her, she's not doing a very good job of explaining it to people why it's important. And again, that's not to knock her, but I look at it always as the ownership's fault, regardless of the situation. Right now, if she expresses that and this other person can't get on board, that's a different story. But I would argue that most likely what I've seen from people is that there's a breakdown first and it's not explained. So Hello Motivation, just every Monday we shoot a quick message and it's really short and sweet. And here's where our mind is. This is part of our why. This is what's important to us. Here's where you should focus this week. And what were some examples? Just for people. This week's was...
Went over like client experience.
This week was to give everyone your best. Treat every appointment as an individual, no matter who sits in your chair. And that was the twist. We asked our staff, again, rhetorical, I don't want the answer, but even when you're doing a colleague's hair or a friend's hair, a family member's hair, when is the last time you gave a true consultation to a colleague? Because they deserve that. Everybody that sits in your chair deserves you. You want to call yourself an artist or whatever, that's why they're sitting there. They deserve that from you. So it's just like little reminders. The second part of that is this I completely stole from a past business mentor of mine, but Bright Spot Fridays. And this one's different because we want engagement. And how Bright Spot Friday works is we just post in Slack, hey, it's Bright Spot Friday. here's my bright spot for the week. And we talk about something. It doesn't even have to be anything related to hair, the salon, the business, nothing. It could be, I met an old friend. I bumped into an old friend and we grabbed a drink or grabbed lunch or whatever. It made me happy. That's a bright spot in your week. And it's just a gratitude exercise to get people to realize, especially at the end of a week, maybe it's busy week or maybe you're heading into a busy weekend, but it just frames people's mindset to be positive, to look for the good. It's easy to complain about Lucy doesn't clean or Sally never shuts off the towel caddy or whatever. It's easy to complain about all that stuff. And I think people forget to put the positive out there first, and it'll take care of a lot of the other stuff. So that's hello momentum, we're calling it, I think, which does not roll off the tongue. And Bright Spot Friday. So I don't know, maybe try that out with your staff. The thing I would say is don't set it and forget it. You really need to like do it every week to build it.
Consistency here is key.
Yeah. All right, let's dive into hiring.
Wait, you had notes?
Oh yeah, thanks. They're on my phone and it shut off. So this is the tier A framework. Again, this has nothing to do with luxury, price point, size, or aesthetic or anything like that. It's just the mindset of the owner. So there's 4 things that I sort of dialed down into. The first one is ownership mindset. So owners take responsibility for their environment that they create. They don't default to blaming. For example, you'll see people all the time that blame the economy, they blame industry, they blame the clients, they blame the quote unquote younger generation. But instead, that ownership mindset would have you asking, what can we improve? Where can I make an impact? Where can I make a difference? And then what can I do that will compound? Constant evaluation. So a tier A salon, how we're defining it is they never assume that things are good enough. They're going to constantly review their systems. Even if it's once a year, you just go through and check stuff out. You want to always be up to date on your standards, your pricing, your education, your team experience, and your client experience. And yes, team experience is important. We focus a lot at Hello, and we don't have hiring problems. So maybe steal that. What you might ask, like just simple questions. What's working? What isn't? What should evolve? What is needing a change? The third one I have is investment for growth. So a tier A salon is going to invest in meaningful development. This will include all of your education, all of your leadership development, all of your time spent improving your systems, creating and presenting real growth opportunities for your staff, for yourself. And I had a note. It's not performative education. So it's education that actually is going to make you or the person better. Mm-hmm. That's what you're after for education. And then the last thing that I think sort of summarizes a tier A salon is that you have long-term thinking that make these split-second decisions based on a whim or a gut feeling. And I'm not saying that a gut feeling is not important, but when you do make snap decisions like that, you're going to tend to screw up more. When you prioritize making your decisions with the future of the business in mind, like where does this put us? Does this put us closer to our vision in 5 years, in 2 years, whatever? And these things you're going to prioritize the culture, which is a big one that we're working on this year, team alignment, sustainability, your reputation as a business, and your career environment. So again, that goes back to the experiences you want people to have. That's it. So again, it's not a status. It's more of a direction, I guess. And I think last week's podcast episode I think it was called Why the Salon Industry is Splitting in Two. I think at certain points I sounded maybe a little preachy, and I don't mean to preach at people. I don't think the way that we do it is the way you should do it. I think you should figure out your way. And there might be parts of our way that you steal or parts of someone else that puts out content of that if it works. What we do on here is just share stuff that works. Like our hiring process, it fucking works. It works for us. So I know it works. I've seen it work for the past 6 years now. And
it's evolved. It's not stayed the same.
No, of course not.
You say, of course not, but some people would be like, oh, it's set it and forget it. It has changed over what?
Oh, no.
Because we reevaluate what works and what doesn't and how can we make it better.
Exactly. So I think one of the most common things that you'll see out in the social worlds, social media worlds, is people are just like, where do you find stylists? And I think that question, it's not asking the full question. It's not solving any sort of a problem, because I could say, oh, I used Indeed, and 50 people will say they did too and it sucked, and 50 people will say I did too and it worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily about that. I think we focus on the wrong things too. Like I saw a couple of ads recently that said stuff like I'm hiring, or I have a chair available, or whatever. And it showed, like, the ad is a picture of a chair. We know what a chair in a salon looks like. We don't need to show us a chair in your salon. Your salon is not any different than any other salon. I know it's yours. Again, I'm not trying to sound like a jerk, but what you really should be showing people is what it's like to be in your salon. That's
what's the vibe?
Yeah, what's the vibe? That's far more engaging than a chair, an empty chair at that. You're not even showing people in your space having fun. Why would I want to go there? You're showing me an empty chair. That's just one example. The other thing that I feel like you see a lot too is join our team, and it's the owner sitting in the chair and it's the staff surrounding them. That's intimidating. So someone getting out of cosmetology school in their early 20s, maybe they're in their early 20s. Probably not. They could be even younger than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's intimidating. You look like a gang.
I'd say this too.
Really,
it's also probably very misleading, because that picture, you made your staff all wear the same clothes, do their hair and makeup. And when this person comes in for an interview, nobody's looking like that. So then they're going to feel like they're with the wrong people.
Yeah, you're probably right. And so when I see all these things again and again, and I'm like, I've seen this post again and again from the same person, or you start to notice the names, or you start to notice the salons. So clearly what they're doing is not working, because if it worked, they wouldn't be advertising that they're hiring constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And again, maybe that old school mentality of salons, like I know for a while back in the day, salons were like, we're always hiring. Like, I don't know how that makes any sense. Is that because you have such high turnover that you have to?
Probably.
We don't physically have space to continually hire.
Right. We'll continually interview because we like making relationships, but we let them know we're not hiring now, but if you want to meet with us, we'd love to.
For sure. So I think people get into this loop, Jen, that I think I mentioned this last night, and I don't remember exactly how I worded it, but say you have a chair available or somebody quits, right? Somebody quits your team. Now you have an open chair and you panic. So you just hire anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not hiring based on your core values or those things, because you're just hiring. And you hire, probably you have them maybe do a model and you go, okay, they're good enough. And you throw them on the floor. And then they leave. And then you do the same thing. And it's just a cycle that people get sucked into because they're not changing anything. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and you keep getting the same result and you're not happy with that result, you have to change something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It sounds so simple, right, when you say it, but it's weird how they just keep doing the same thing and expect a different result.
Same thing. And they think it's the person, but it's not the person. It's you.
It's them. Yeah.
It's you. It's you as the owner. Everything is your responsibility. Now you can say, well, I had some bad workers come through and they didn't last because of this, blah, blah, blah. Every person that comes to your salon is that, like, it's always their fault. That's on you for not realizing an alarm should go off in your head. There's something wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way every single person's a bad person.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. So I think we'll get into we have a 4-part hiring process. We'll get into that in a bit. But it's definitely that loop is what traps people over and over again. So what do you want to start to do? You need to have some sort of clear culture or a story about growth or something that you can latch onto, like something that you can tell people that excites them about your business. Why would they want to be in your salon? There has to be some sort of story that you're telling. If you're not telling that story and if you're just posting stuff like, here's the hours, or here we use luxury brands. That's every salon is saying that. You're not separating yourself anymore. Or the new one that I see. Why are we using parking?
Parking's included.
Why is
lots of parking.
Why is parking an amenity?
I guarantee you, if parking is an amenity, it's because whatever salon they last were at didn't have parking. So somehow that's now like what was important to them.
Yeah, it's just such a monkey see, monkey do industry that people are like, oh, parking, I'll add that. You're not adding anything.
You
If you
better
live,
have parking or nobody can come.
right, if you live in where we live, like okay, maybe if you're in the city, so you're in Boston, hey, we have convenient parking. Good to know.
Yeah, that would make sense. Right.
But if you're in the middle of New Hampshire, you do not have a parking issue at all. I've never been to a small town in our state, Jen, and had a parking issue ever. I don't even have a parking issue in the cities in our state. So parking is not an amenity. Okay. Just like snacks. Snacks is not an amenity. Anyways, you're struggling though to attract those stronger clients or candidates because you're not giving them something to latch onto. You're not giving them a story. You're hiring whoever applies, and those people are going to be a poor fit, and then there's going to be frustration, and then you're just going to repeat the process.
Well, yeah, because you're attracting someone who's like, I don't really care where I work, just someone hire me, right? You'll probably get into
that's part of it for sure. Yeah. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
So where we are now, where we do have a full staff, what is really great is we'll get, I don't know, Todd knows more better than me the numbers, but say 5 or 7 people per week, like looking for a salon or assistant job or whatever. And what's been great is like we're not hiring right now, but you never know when things change. So we love to meet people, whatever. And probably 1 out of those 5 or 7 actually take the interview because those other 6 people just want whatever salon's going to take them. That's not a fit for us. We're looking for the one that really is looking to make a relationship, join a community and be part of something. And so this kind of tactic has really helped. And it's come out of a place because we got full. So we just started being honest with people so we're not wasting their time. But what we've curated is now we're attracting actually people that come into our interview that really want to be part of our team. And we're making future relationships so that when a team member does leave, now we're like, oh, who did we interview here that maybe would be a good fit for what we're trying to, like, for the hole we have missing. And that's just part of what we've started to do in this hiring process.
For sure. Yeah. Where I was at is with the loop, that to snap out of that loop, that goes into that tier A sort of framework that I laid out, where you have to start operating your business a little differently. So it's okay to have clear standards and lay those out beforehand. People would prefer that. You can have a strong culture, and I'm gonna when we break down our hiring process, we'll talk about how our culture is involved in the hiring process in the right way. We talk about real education. Education is one of our core values, and we're not fucking joking. It's important. So if you're somebody that's not going to show up to class, we don't do a lot of mandatory stuff, but if you're somebody that's not going to show up to classes constantly all the time, you never show up, you're too good, too cool, whatever, you're not a good fit for us. And you're going to weed yourself out. We've had people that are like, oh, we're doing this stuff. We're actually going to do all the stuff you laid out, Jen. And you're like, yep. What about growth opportunities? You're not just trying to fill a chair. You're trying to build someone's career. That's your job as a leader. Mm-hmm. Think about that. And then leadership. Those are things you can think about and really separate yourself. If you lay those things out, hey, here are standards here. And people's ears perk up because there are people out there that want that. They're at a salon where the standard, maybe the cleanliness is lacking, and they're like, I'd rather be at a place that's clean. Mm-hmm. But nobody's mentioning what's important to them. There's just free parking, and we have snacks, and we use luxury products. Okay, no one cares. So does everybody. Yeah, Jen, you mentioned the realization. So skills are important, but that's your barrier to entry.
Yeah, so we can teach skills.
For us, alignment matters much more than skills because, yeah, education is one of our core values. And we're just honest with people. You might not be on the floor for, say, X amount of weeks. I don't know, whatever. It's always a little different because we do it individually. But definitely hire for alignment first and skill second. If you don't believe me, or if you disagree because you're somebody like, I don't have time to do that, then you don't have time to run a business because your job is not hair.
Yeah.
I know everyone wants to cut hair, everyone wants to color hair, and that's the fun part. You can still do that, but not while you're running your business. Mm-hmm. You cannot do both at the same time. All right, let's get into our hiring process. People have waited long enough, Jen. Mm-hmm. Step 1. We want to have a conversation. That's it. I want to bring you in, or Jen and I bring you in, and we try to make it so we're both available. And if we can't have a conversation with you, how do we expect to work with you?
Right. Yeah, that's something that has to occur naturally, right? You want to be sitting with somebody, we have a coffee, whatever, and get excited about sort of possibilities, or I start to see like a vision of, oh, this person could be good with this or that. And if that doesn't happen, it's totally fine. There's enough salons out there that will hire that stylist, but just not a fit for us. That first part has to be just there.
You know what's funny? I don't ask any interview questions. We might, if the conversation goes well, we might ask a couple of like salon related questions at the end. What do you feel your strengths are? Stuff like that. What do you feel like your weaknesses are? Just to get them thinking about the salon. But these chats are, tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
Well, my mom did hair. Nope. Hold on. Start over. Tell me about yourself. I don't want to talk about hair right now. Where'd you grow up?
Right.
Where are you from? What are your hobbies? What do you do? We can get into why you're doing hair later, but there was so much more to you as a person than I do hair.
Right.
If that's your whole identity, it's not going to work out because that's kind of boring to me. So I'm just being honest. So that's step one of our hiring process. We bring someone in, we have a conversation. Usually we do some sort of a quick tour, but we don't really worry too much about that. Thought I had to sneeze. We don't worry too much about that because part two is if you get invited after the initial conversation, things go well, we're going to bring you back in for a shadow day. And what does that look like? This is important to us. And Jen usually lays this out. This is a mutual selection. It's nice to be picked, but you have to pick back.
That is a conversation we have.
Of course. I'm telling people exactly how we do it.
I think too, because like from a young age, right? Someone's like, oh, everyone line up, let's pick teams. The last thing you want to do is be last to be picked. So it just sucks, right? So sometimes you might get picked, but then realize I don't even want to be part of that team. Like and especially in today's world, right? There are so many salons out there that on the face of their social media and their website, they look like they're one thing. But when you get into that interview, you start to realize they are nothing like how they advertise. So if they pick you and you're now in this interview and you're like, this feels like smokes and mirrors, none of this aligns, then don't be so quick to pick back. Realize what's happening there. So I'll say to somebody, if we decide this is a good fit, I want you to really think about if you think it's a good fit. Like, that's cool. And I want you to feel great that we picked you, but make sure that like everything that we're saying and everything we're doing and what you're seeing inside our business really resonates with you and is a place you'd want to be. And just think about that. And we want to hire mindful people. We want people that can think for themselves and have some intention with decision making.
Yeah, and we're blunt. So make sure this is the place. Now, why do we do a shadow day and who do they shadow? This is where the culture gets involved a little bit. They are not standing next to Jen for the day just watching her do hair so that Jen's ego can get better. That's not what they're doing. We want them to interact with all of our staff. We want them to, if possible, talk to clients. We want them to really feel what it's like in Hello. And so that does a few things. That allows them to decide if they want to pick us back. And it allows our team or whoever happens to be in there time with the person. What is the vibe? And now this is a little different than like our staff doesn't get a vote.
Right.
On who we hire, who we don't hire. But it's easy to see people sort of will gravitate towards someone or just like a good fit overall vibe, right? It's really easy to see.
Again, it happens naturally. It just does.
Right. If you're mindful and you're paying attention. Now, if you're one of those owners I don't have time for that, I'm behind the chair and I need to go. Well, hey, I'm giving you the playbook that works for us. You don't have to use it at all.
Yeah, this is how you'll get staff that wants to stay a long time.
Yeah. We've had people that come in during this shadow day and they will stand in the corner and they'll ask questions like, do you get a lot of walk-ins? That's not going to be a good fit for us. Stuff like that. Or what does paid time off look like? Stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that stuff's important, but not as important as the fit.
Right. And you just get to see what the main priorities are for them. And we know what type of person we're looking for that sees, again, the long-term plan. What does this look like? How do I grow? How do I get here? How do I do that? That's what we're really going for. It's not the quick fix of the fit we need right now. It's what do we need in X amount of years at this person's time at Hello Haircut.
Yeah, exactly. And then so they get this time where they come in, and I was going to say some people just leave. They ask a couple questions and they're like, how long do I have to stay? I'm like, you don't have to stay at all.
Right.
But this is telling me a lot about the fit.
Right.
Because sometimes people will hang out for the whole day.
Like, you can go.
Leave. Yeah, you can leave at any time. And they're like, is it okay if I stay? Or so-and-so is going to do this hair and I really want to see that specific service. Can I hang out? And yeah, of course, you're welcome to. Guess what? Those people tend to fit.
Yeah.
Because they're excited to be there.
Right.
But so this shadow day gives them an opportunity to observe our team dynamics, how we work, what we actually are on the floor. Yeah. We're not hiding any of this stuff, not trying to hire you and then show you who I am after. Mm-hmm. It gives them an experience in the environment, moving around Hello. Every salon has a little bit of a different layout. So it's just, this is the way we work. And to see how the salon actually operates. There's no hiding anything. So this is who we are. Mm-hmm. What happens after that? So that's part 2. So we've had a conversation. We decided this person we can talk to. So we brought them in and they shadow and the vibe is good and the energy is good. And so we'll invite them back in for another conversation. And generally what happens is this is where we talk about our mission, our vision, our core values, all those things. And we'll tell them, like people will say, education matters. Here we have education almost every day. Mm-hmm. In fact, in our social posts, I think I write that education daily because Jen runs an apprentice program. Our staff teaches our other staff. It's constant. Mm-hmm. And we are very collaborative. Like a lot of people work together on stuff. Hey, I just learned this technique. Let me show you. Oh, cool. That's awesome. So there's opportunity for education. Like it's in our DNA. Yeah. And it's not a joke. We've had people that are like, this is too much. I can't handle this. That's fine. Mm-hmm. You don't have to stay. But our culture is not something that we say. We don't walk around being like, we're a luxury, high-end, exclusive salon. It's how we operate. That's our culture. This is us. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure we had a conversation. It was fun. You did the shadowing and that was fun. You were excited. We want to make sure that that doesn't wear off. We don't change who we are. Mm-hmm. That's not how we run it here. And we want people to know what that means in practice. Like, this is how we are actually handling these specific situations. At that point, we're going to, if they agree, we're going to make them an offer for a position. And then we do, so the fourth part is a model day. And I think that confuses people because I think the traditional model is you would do some sort of hair test, right? I want to see this and this. If you can do it, boom, you're on the floor. For us, it's backwards. It's not a test at all. It's an evaluation for our educational sort of roadmap.
Correct.
And this is on Jen. And Jen evaluates the strengths and then the weaknesses or opportunities for growth or whatever, however you want to lay it out. And then she lays out a program. And then generally within 12 weeks or less, people are up and running on their own, doing services. You're never truly on your own, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And it works. It works for us. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will hire for that technical ability first, even if the person is like a jerk. They're like, yeah, but they're so good at hair. Yeah, they're going to damage your business.
Yeah. Don't do that. Personality. The other thing too, we do in kind of this.
We tell people that too, because we want them at this point. You have the job. I just want to put this out real quick so I don't forget, Jen, but the model day, that's not about proving yourself. You already have the job.
Right.
This is just about getting you comfortable. You've never worked we have blow dryers that come out of the ceiling. Like maybe you've never worked with those. We want you to get comfortable, have some friends and family come in, or we can help find models or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Plus we have a ton of different tech that you've most likely never worked with. So you need to understand how that is too, right? Mm-hmm. But the other part we do, and I think this is also extremely important because we've mentored lots of people and talked to a lot of people that are like, well, my staff they don't like new people. They don't want new people on our team. They're always like, they just aren't open to new people coming in. So this kind of corrects that. The shadow day starts to help that because your team starts to absorb that person and you do really see if everyone starts connecting, right? But the other thing we do is we want that individual to understand levels of standards in the salon. So we always have them get a service, a wash and a blow dry, so that they can understand the
I
level.
forgot that part. I didn't even have that in my notes.
Yeah. And this is like, this to me is really where, if you do this, it brings your team part of this. Now, Todd and I have already co-signed that this person's coming to work at Hello Hair Co. So this is where the team feels like they're a bit involved, right? So I don't do the wash and blow dry on this new person that's hired. I have someone on the staff do it. It depends. I pick depending on who I think will fit best, who will vibe with the person. And then this person gets a wash and a blow dry by that staff member, which first like creates a relationship. It opens tons of conversation. It starts the relationship that happens. And usually if other people aren't busy, they're going in to go talk to the new person that's getting the blow dry or the shampoo at the time, whatever. But it does help to, again, open your staff into being part of what's next once you've made these decisions. And I really do think it helps so much in the relationship starting and the culture and just it organically developing.
Yeah, that's a great part too. I like the shadow day because we always get great feedback from the staff.
Mhm.
Like, hey, this person was asking like these, like a different level of question for somebody
Right.
coming out of school. So they're thinking about, hair color this way or whatever. And
Mhm.
it's just, yeah, if you have a staff that's going to be dismissive of new people, they're going to be the ones that don't fit in. But you have to be strong enough as an owner to implement this either way.
Yeah. Because you don't want to be in a situation like in my opening take where you have people that aren't fitting your culture, but you can't let go of them because you're like, I need them,
You've dealt with that in the
right. So
past.
if you're always, even with this interview process, like we're not hiring right now, but we're always interviewing. But the staff with our process, they trust us. They understand that if someone isn't a good fit that we hire, we're going to let them go. We're not going to jeopardize that. And we're not going to keep people on the team longer than they should be on the team. And now that we've established that and they trust us, they're always open to new people because they're like, oh, you're cool now. But if you become not cool, meaning you're a jerk or you don't follow the rules, we know you're not staying here. Our rules are really like black, white. This is what you follow. And if you can do that and then keep growing, you're good.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, your hiring is important. That's the way we do it at the salon. That's our hiring process. It's what it's evolved into.
Yes.
We start, step 1 is the conversation. Step 2 is a shadow day. Step 3 is a little more in-depth conversation about culture and our foundations. And then step 4 is come on in and work in the space you're hired. And again, is that going to work for every salon? Probably not, but I would say that there are things in there that you could pick and choose how you want to build yours. Maybe it's a 3-part, or maybe you're like, no, I need more. I want to take a real slow approach to this. Okay, maybe yours becomes like a 6 or a 7-part. I don't know. This is what works for us. I like the culture sort of part of it because we're letting our staff be involved and we're always open to feedback. They all understand. We don't even need to say it. Like, you're not deciding if this person is hired or not. There have been times in the past where people are like, oh, I know this person and not for me or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's okay. Like, I'll take that into consideration for sure because I don't
Thanks for
want
the
to
heads up.
disrupt. Yeah, I don't want to disrupt the vibe. But also, people change and
Mhm.
people are different than they were in high school or whatever. Like, we're not here to manage past bickering or whatever that might have happened 6 years ago. But
Right.
either way, every hiring decision you make shapes the future
Right.
of your business and the future culture, if you want to be even more exact there. So I would create a hiring strategy or a hiring framework or whatever you want to call it. And I would implement that. And I would do some of the things that we talked about earlier. Tell the story of what sets your salon apart. We have people that reach out. I don't advertise anywhere that we're hiring. We have people reach out. This week was slow. What's it? It's Wednesday. This week was slow. I've had 2 people reach out so far. So again, we're trying to just tell the story of like, at Hello, what do? We do hair and we have fun. That's, if you wanted to distill it down, it's simply, but we also have a lot of education. So if you're somebody that says education is important to you, we're not just writing it
Yeah,
on an
you're ready
app.
to learn.
Lots of education. Like, what does that mean though in practice? Like, people don't understand what that means. So tell the story of what it means. If, you know, if parking is really that important to you, I guess post some pictures of parking.
Yeah.
Like
Tell your
I don't know,
parking stories.
tell the parking story, because that then they'll go, oh, gotcha. At least it makes sense now. If your snacks, you really think your snacks are what's separating you? I'm obviously being a little sarcastic here, but
I have a good snack game and we have education.
yeah, we do hair. I'm not worried about snacks. I'm not worried about beverages. We're not a bar. Yeah. Anyways, if you need help or have questions, I guess reach out. I don't know. But that's what I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
'Cause that's exactly what we do. But I don't mind repeating it. All right. That's it, huh?
That's it.
All right. Let's go get lunch.
Okay.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.